simply can't believe that this unconditional kind of love would be enough to take a filthy wretch like this and wrap him up in righteousness. But that's exactly what he did, yes. No matter the bumps, no matter the bruises, no matter the scars, still the truth is the cross has made, the cross has made you flawless. No matter the hurt or how deep the wound is, no matter the pain, still the truth is the cross has made, the cross has made you flawless. Oh yeah. Take a breath, smile, and say right here, right now, I'm okay because the cross it was enough. Hallelujah.
Every time I tried to make it on my own, every time I tried to stand, start to fall, and all those lonely roads that I had traveled on, well, there was Jesus. When the life I built came crashing to the ground, when the friends I had were nowhere to be found, I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now. There was Jesus. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know it or couldn't see it, there was Jesus.
In all those lonely hours, yes, those precious lonely hours, Jesus let me know that I am His own. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, yeah. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His word.
Yes.
I'm only human. I'm just a woman. Help me believe in what I can be and all that I am. Show me the stairway I have to climb. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. That's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Teach me today, show me the way, one day at a time. There's all the news to tell him,
how you'd spend your time and what's the latest thing the neighbors say. And your mother called last Friday, sunshine made her cry, and you felt the baby move just yesterday. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Yes, it is. Sometimes it's so far, feels like a long lost friend. Yes, and hey, it's good to be back home again. Watching, therefore, you know not the day when the door shall call your soul away. If you labor, striving for the right, you shall wear a Roman crown. Gonna wear a crown. Gonna wear a crown. Gonna wear a crown. When the trumpet sounds. When the trumpet sounds. When the trumpet sounds. When the trumpet sounds. I'm gonna wear a crown. I shall wear a crown. I shall wear a Roman crown. Gonna wear a crown. Gonna wear a crown. Gonna wear a crown. Gonna wear a crown. When the trumpet sounds. When the trumpet sounds. When the trumpet sounds. When the trumpet sounds. I'm gonna wear a crown. I shall wear a crown. Soon as my feet strike Zion, gonna lay down a heavy burden, put on a rolling glory, shout, tell my story. Soon as I see Jesus, gonna tell him all about my troubles, put on my rolling glory, shout, tell my story. Soon as I see Jesus, gonna tell him all about my troubles, put on my rolling glory, shout, shout, tell him my story. I shall wear a Roman crown.
And that straight and narrow path you showed me turned into 1,000 winding roads. My footsteps carry me away, but in my mind I'm always going home. My footsteps carry me away, but in my mind I'm always going home.
Amazing grace, how sweet,
Sweet
the sound.
For the act you've really all been waiting for, put your hands together to welcome our founder, our pastor, our senior pastor, my dad, Dr. Mack Evans. Come on.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Guys, people pay lots of money to go to Branson to see a whole lot less than that. I once was lost. Did anybody ever lose anything that was special to you? All right, let me change that. Anybody ever lose their telephone? People go absolutely stark raving mad if they lose their telephone because their whole life is wrapped up in that little box. There's no, I don't even remember phone numbers anymore. I used to know a whole bunch of phone numbers. I don't know any phone numbers anymore. We lose our phone, we lose contact with everybody. Anybody ever been lost in the wilderness? I was pastoring a church in Jonesboro, Louisiana. It was in the late 60s. I don't know how it is down there now, but then the first Saturday of October, the world shuts down because squirrel season opened and everybody's going squirrel hunting. And now there's a bunch of them down there watching this today, so they'll know exactly what I'm talking about if it's the same way. Anyway, there was some of the guys in the church wanting me to go squirrel hunting with them. I said, well, great, I love to squirrel hunt. Now understand, I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina. I know how to get around in the mountains. I knew nothing about a swamp. Anyway, we left, got down there early, and about daylight, one of them said, I'm going this way. Now, it was Crawford Huckabee, Billy McBride, William Dan Bridges, and me. They all decided they were going. I said, well, I'll just go this way. There was a little old, I call it a creek, they call it a slough down there, or a bayou. Anyway, I said, I'll just go up this way over here. Well, it'd been a good little while past, and I thought, well, I might ought to be heading back towards the car. And I sort of stopped to get my bearings, and I looked, and here was this big cypress tree. It was huge. And it had cypress knees or cypress roots all around it. And at one time, there had been a Continental Can sign. Continental Can was a big company. They had a paper mill and known around the world, I guess. Anyway, this Continental Can sign had fallen off of this big cypress tree and was leaning up against one of those cypress knees or cypress roots. And I looked and I saw this tree, and I said, there was an old logging road sort of going off to my right. I said, I'll take this logging road off to my right, and I'll sort of bear back to my left, run into that creek, that slough, that bayou, and I'll just follow that out to the car. So I was going along, and I thought, I should have come to that slough by now. And I couldn't figure out why it was taking me so long, and I looked up, and here was this big cypress tree with this Continental Can sign leaning up against the root. Now, these Continental Can signs, they were 3 C's, one inside another, and they made great targets because you never saw one that didn't have bullet holes in it. Anyway, I looked, here's an old logging road going off to my right. I didn't panic. I had a plan. I said, I'm going to follow this old logging road down a little ways, bear back to my left, I'll hit the creek, and follow it out to the car. So after a while, I looked up, and here's this big cypress tree with this Continental Can sign and an old logging road going off to the right. Now, I didn't panic. I did not panic because I had a plan. I'm going to follow this old logging road. And I'm going to bear back to my left, and I'm going to hit that slough. And I'll follow it out to the car. It didn't take as long this time because I was moving a little faster. But I looked up, and here's this. I told that story. I was doing a revival one time, and I told that story. And a lady come up to me afterwards and said, did you ever get out of the swamp? I said, no, honey, I'm still down there. Hey, it is not a fun thing to be lost. Now look, here you are in the swamp. I didn't know nothing about swamps. All I know is you got these cypress trees, you got moss hanging down, palmetto, snakes, alligators. Mosquitoes. I did not want to spend the night down there. Being lost in the wilderness is not fun. If you've ever been really lost. I talked to a businessman one time. He had been quite successful. He was sort of independently wealthy. Things went bad and he lost his business, had to file bankruptcy. And he said, you know, I have lost my wealth. Losing your wealth is a sad thing. I stood by the bed of a man whose body was eaten up with cancer, a man who had been strong and healthy all of his life. And now then he looked at me and he said, Pastor, I've lost my health. Losing your health is a terrible, sad thing. Alcoholic, drug addict. He had abused his wife and his kids, and she finally had enough and she left him. And he said, you know, I have lost my family. Losing your family is a sad thing. I will never forget, and Joe, you will remember this. A preacher sat in the back seat of our car. He was holding his wife in his arms, crying, as we drove them some 80 miles to a mental hospital. And he was crying and holding his wife, and he said, you know, my wife has lost her mind. Losing your mind is a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing to lose your wealth, lose your health, lose your family, lose your mind. But the greatest thing you will ever lose is your soul. Amen. Jesus said, what would it profit a man if he gained the whole world and lost his own soul? Amen. What would you give in exchange, or what would you take to lose your soul? What is your soul worth? What would it take? What would you sell it for? He said, if you gained the whole world and lost your own soul, it would profit you nothing. In Luke 15, there's a story of 3 things that were lost. There was a lost sheep. The shepherd counted his sheep. There should have been 100. There was only 99. One was lost. Now, the sheep didn't really have any intention of being lost. He just got lost. He got careless, drifted away, had no intention of getting lost. But he was lost. There are a lot of people today who are lost. They really didn't intend to be lost. They just sort of, things happened. Not really a bad person. You've just been careless. Some of you have been careless. You've neglected the things of God. You put it aside, drifted away from God, drifted away from a church. Some of you once in church, faithful, committed, but you've drifted away. Let me ask you a question. I want you to think about it. How many times have you said to your husband or to your wife, we have got to get in church? But you just carelessly neglect. You don't take time for God. Flirting with the loss of your soul. There was a woman who lost a coin, and she searched and searched. Now the coin was just as lost as the sheep, but it was lost for a different reason. The sheep just wandered away carelessly, but the coin had no control over its own destiny. It didn't intend to be lost. And some people today, a lot of people today, feel that they've lost control of their life, their destiny. They're no longer able to control what's happening in their life. Maybe it's alcohol or drugs or whatever has got you in bondage. And you feel like you're hopelessly lost. You are not as far gone as you think. Because there is hope. Because Jesus said, the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which is lost. You're the one he came looking for. He came looking for that which was lost. And then the third thing that was lost was the prodigal son. Young man, this is a young man who deliberately chose to be lost. He took his inheritance. He wasted it, ended up in the junkyard of human existence. He was lost. And the tragedy is he's lost because he chose to be lost. Some of you are lost because you chose to be lost. And what happens, sometimes things happen in people's lives. They causes them to get away from God, to lose their faith. Maybe it's a disappointment. Maybe it's a failure. People have let you down. If you look to people, you will get let down. That feeling that you just can't measure up and you give up. You're lost because you choose to be lost. It makes no difference what causes a person to be lost. The thing that makes a difference is, do you want to be found? What would it profit a man if he gained the whole world and then lost his own soul? Jesus right now is looking for you. When your life gets to the point where everything in your life is drying up, your dreams are crushed, your family's in a mess, disaster, your marriage is a war zone, you have nowhere to turn, crushed by life. Here's the good news. In every one of those stories, that which was lost was found. The lost sheep was found, and there was great rejoicing. The lost coin was found, and there was great rejoicing. The difference is, now listen, the shepherd looked for the sheep. The woman looked for the coin. But the father never went looking for the prodigal son. The prodigal son left on his own. He had to make the choice to come home. But when he made the decision, I will arise and go to my father's house. When he made that decision, there was great rejoicing, a great party. Everyone that was lost was found. Right now, God's waiting on you to make a decision. You know what you need to do. There is a massive, do you know there is a massive search party right now? Do you know all this? You have no idea the amount of work and effort that went into putting on this today. Amen. But you know that's part of a search party? That's what this sheep shed's all about. We're just a search party. We're looking for that which was lost. A search party. We find a few. But some of you are going to have to make the decision on your own. The Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. What would it profit a man if he gained the whole world and then lost his own soul? What are you trading your soul for? Some of you know what you need to do.